Majority of the border borders and even transport operators have, they only take out insurance policy for compliance purposes with the police regulations. Kenyans have stopped knowing the purpose of insurance, that insurance is supposed to come in need at the point of accident. So that's the reason why we feel that the regulator has completely failed to perform their duties. And it's very important that this is the high time that we have this strict penalty whereby the insurer fails to meet the obligation, then they pay the penalty. As my colleagues have said, we'll propose more amendments at the committee stage, especially on the issue of the penalty. I believe that we should not leave the penalty just at the judgment stage. We must also broaden this to include circumstances whereby the insurer has been informed of an occurrence of an accident, the policy is fully paid for, and they have already investigated, but still they fail to move ahead and compensate the involved parties. So we should not just leave it for parties, first of all, to go to court. Let court be the last resort, because it becomes very expensive and frustrating to Kenyans to go all circle, spend 3-4 years for them to be compensated when this should have been done within 2-3 months as provided for in the policy cover. So, Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to support the amendment as proposed in the Act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable John Mutunga, followed by the Honorable Osoro.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also support the Insurance Amendment Bill 2023. Honorable Speaker, I do commend the committee for the good work to look into this particular bill, and the mover also to have brought in, the sponsor of the bill, to have brought in these amendments. Honorable Speaker, these amendments, looking at them, bring in accountability to the insurance company, and accountability is key. Honorable Speaker, they also would like, or rather try to bring in observance of the fiduciary responsibility by insurance companies. If there is no accountability, Honorable Speaker, and there is no prudent management of the resources, then the insurance companies will not be trusted, and therefore they will lose business. Besides losing business, Honorable Speaker, insurance companies is a huge business in this country, and many people rely on insurance for survival. Insurance has been used for very, very many ways. One of the ways that insurance is used is basically to support. Even people get contracts today where you are required probably to put in a board, insurance comes in, and in many other respects. So being responsible institutions is key, and improving their credibility is also key. These particular amendments bring in that particular dimension. Amending the Insurance Act, Cap 487, to provide for offenses and penalties in view of the insurance management companies is also important. We realize, Honorable Speaker, that companies or institutions run, or the functionality or efficiency and effectiveness of institutions will basically depend on who is sitting on the seat at that moment. It depends on the driver, and the driver in this particular case is the manager. Careless handling will lead to laxity, and it will lead to collapse of these institutions. Honorable Speaker, if there are no penalties, then we will serve a lot of laxity, and we will serve a lot of carelessness in the handling. If the penalties are not strict, or they're not stringent, or they're not strong, then we have impunity. People do not get the services that they pay for. So it is very important for these amendments to come in to try and bring in this dimension into that particular Insurance Act. To deliberately bring in the definition of the offenses within this particular bill is key, so that as introduced in section 67H, where we are trying to bring in the offenses relating to the management. We know that management of insurance companies is key. Well, if it is prudent, then we have institutions that can be relied upon. The requisite penalties to the managers for failures thereby is important, because we accost the individuals, therefore, to fashion their delivery in terms of giving credible management. Honorable Speaker, insurance companies that have failed in the business or that have run out of business have resulted to huge losses to the Kenyans, undesirable losses. And these losses have affected our people. It is important, therefore, not only to improve on accountability of servants of the fiduciary responsibility, but also it is important to bring in the issue of professionalism within the insurance companies. And this is what these amendments are bringing in. It's introducing specifically, Honorable Speaker, the marginal notes to distinguish between the surveyors, the general surveyors and the insurance surveyors is important, because one can argue that these insurance surveyors were not involved and therefore they were not responsible. Honorable Speaker, the bill also strives to bring in better credence to the insurance industry. We need credible insurance companies for various reasons. Under the difficult times we are right now, under the difficult economic times we are, people will rely a lot more on insurance companies. We realize that without credibility, we are not able to have these insurance firms running the way they should. Insurance companies also cover most of the Kenyans who are not necessarily in know of what happens. And Madam Speaker, if you look at the documents of the insurance companies, they have big, medium, and very small fonts. The very small fonts define a lot of serious issues. And most of the people do not actually take time to read these small fonts. So having provisions in the law that will protect our people is key. Also, the levels of education of our people is different. And not all of them are that they will be able to understand everything. I'm looking at a case where we have introduced insurance for crops, we have introduced insurance for livestock, we have also introduced insurance for transport system. Most of the people who are engaged in these sectors do not really know how to interpret things as it were. So it is important for us to curb the likely mischief that may be brought by insurance companies by introducing credibility in what they are supposed to be doing, by introducing the penalties that touch on the individuals who manage this industry, insurance companies, and by ensuring that they are there to fiduciary responsibility. Responsibility for payment of the people at the right time, whenever they request for their payment, responsibility to proactively deal with the issues and finish them off, and responsibility to adhere to the contracts. Honorable Speaker, penalties will give us the answer. Honorable Speaker, with those very few remarks, I do support the amendments. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Osoro, followed by the Honorable Emilio Diambo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to support this bill by the Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Speaker, it's important for us, even as we support this, reflect on our encounters, various encounters with different sales agents from the insurance companies. You'll notice, Honorable Speaker, that the history that we've had with the insurance companies has made us develop a bit of some jitters and fear whenever we hear that a sales agent is at your door, because we believe they'll come and do sweet talk, sit with you, give you projections on millions you'll make in the event of something that you are insuring against or something. And then eventually, when now you are faced with such a calamity, now things will go, the other way. They'll go south. You'll try as much as possible, and not really I'm not really generalizing, but in most instances, you will find it very hard to recover what you are seeking. And what this bill, Honorable Speaker, seeks, or this amendment seeks, is to set retribution and some serious punitive measures against such people who take advantage of the statutory requirement, and especially on the motor vehicle insurance, Honorable Speaker. If you listen to the stories by the people who have motor vehicles, especially those people who engage in motor vehicle business, the matatus, even the private vehicle owners, the lorries, the stories you'll hear are very shocking. That during registration and when they are taking premiums, these people are very good. They're very, very good. I do not know what happens. I mean, they are covering you against an accident has happened, then they set their own standards of checking whether it is indeed true, whether the accident took place. They claim, they take you now, they tell you now after, give us 3 months, we do investigations, Honorable Speaker. 3 months goes to 6 months, they go and collect some information, they send so many people with, whom you can't, authenticate as an individual, as a client, and then they eventually give you a report sometimes which is not so pleasing. They tell you that there was contributory negligence, and there is no, within their structures, unless you go to other arms of government, or rather you go to court, there is no element of appeal within their structure, because they'll tell you this is what we've decided, and we'll pay you 70% of what you insured, or 50%, or even none. That is what this amendment tries to cure. That even as we talk about setting some very strong punitive measures against those insurance people that do not, or insurance companies that do not want to pay, it's also very important for us to also standardize the format. And the insurance companies need to come up with a format that is so standard, so that we get to know that when we get an accident, this is the channel. How high do we set the standards of checking whether the claim is true or false? I mean, it can't be, in this insurance company is different, the other insurance company is different, there is another insurance company that pays well, there is another insurance company that is slow in settlement. Those are the things that we also need to cure. But again, there are other things that we also need to look at. The insurance, the brokerage companies. In this bill, you'll realize that it's limited, of course, to the directors, and it's limited to those people who are in charge. But we need to think through a way, and I think the Honorable Millie will speak after me, may understand better, that perhaps we need a way to set what I'll call, for lack of a better word, Honorable Speaker, vicarious liability. That there is a principal insurance company, and there is an agent, and there is a brokerage. So that blame is not shifted, because these are two sets of directors. A brokerage company has a director, but that is not the principal insurer. The principal insurer company could be a bigger one, like what we have here in the National Assembly. Then what happens? Who is the director? Which director will take direct fiduciary responsibility, Honorable Speaker? Perhaps this is the discussion that we need to have, so that we get to know how do we set the retribution for the agency and the mother company, so that it doesn't happen that there is a blame game. Or perhaps we also need to go through their memorandum of understanding and see what happens. Because what happens if the agency decides to close down and the mother company folds the claim and decides to down the tools? Those are the things that we also need to check out, because insurance business in this country is very easy to operate, it's very easy to open, but very hard to settle. Very easy. Any person can go and register an insurance company. But on settlement, even on the hospital bills, look at even what happens with us. Even people who are on salary like ourselves, and the employer is obligated to pay our insurance companies, premiums. We go to hospitals, and sometimes you are told, wait, we've done an email, we've written an email, we're waiting for confirmation. It's on a Sunday. You did not order, you did not tell your body to get sick on a Sunday. Then they tell you, wait, you have a sick patient there. It takes about 7 hours or so. You lose your patient, you are covered. This is something that we need to think through, because we've really tried to limit ourselves just within one angle. But even on that, these things are, and then they set a cap on what they can pay. When they tell you you are covered at 10 million on inpatient, then today they decide and say you are deceased, the way you look, we can only possibly cover 500,000, or we can cover 200,000 and you top up the rest. Then you loiter around. So is it right? We need to think through that. What is settlement? Because what this amendment proposes is punishment on such non-committal. But there is also partial commitment. One commits partially. You promise me 10 million if I fall sick. You promise me that you'll take care of my maternity care, but you'll limit me to 150,000. I got a challenge on this maternity matter. It is taking me to about 500,000. You are telling me top up the rest. But I've been paying all the entire premium. I mean, and finally, Honorable Speaker, does this limit to only the insurance companies that are private? What also happens to the public ones, like even NHIF, that defines what to pay and what not to pay, and still defines what you are supposed to contribute? Who is supposed to take responsibility? Is it, again, this is something else, is it an element again of vicarious liability, where again it stretches back to the AG? Perhaps those are the lines that we need to think through, so that we cover the entire area, and then people will have trust with the insurance, people will do that business, and every person will invest in something. But as it is right now, Honorable Speaker, when you tell me about insurance, you tell me cover your kids with education cover, the only thing I do is that I cover my vehicles and property, because, especially the vehicles, because it's a statutory obligation, and there is a criminal element in it. But all the rest, I mean, you do it with a second thought. With that, Honorable Speaker, I support the amendments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I wish to indicate that I do support the bill, and I also want to urge that in future, if the House can do what they have done today, which is giving Honorable Soro an opportunity to speak before me, because then he gets inspired by my spirit and he speaks very well. So congratulations, Honorable Soro, you've spoken very well, and spoken to a lot of the issues that Kenyans go through that relate to the insurance industry. And I would want to encourage you, especially with the position at which you're sitting now, that because if you look at this bill, it doesn't cover a lot of the issues that you are speaking to, but it would be nice if you can bring amendments so that those issues are covered, especially on the issue of discriminating against women who are having children, and we are treating childbirth as though it is a worse disease than some of the diseases that are covered. And it's not even a disease. So if you can actually consider doing that amendment, it would be very good. Maternity is a noble thing. It shouldn't be a thing that people criminalize or discriminate. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief because members have spoken a lot to this. But if you see what this amendment seeks to do is to ensure promptness in payment, is to ensure accountability by those who insure, and also to enhance punitive measures where they evade their responsibility. And Mr. Speaker, what I would actually want to say is that a lot of the amendments that I've seen that are coming before this House are born out of frustration. And they are born out of frustration not because there is a poor legislative framework, but because of an implementation framework. And you actually find that even with the law that is there now, if it was actually properly implemented, then there may not even have been there, any need to bring this amendment. But because we have enhanced a culture of impunity, then people think they can get away with anything. I would want to encourage, and I don't know how we are going to go about this, that we need to ensure that when we pass laws in this country, that they're enforced, because we can also pass this, and then the insurance agencies fail to actually do what we are urging them to do, make the deposits we want them to make and all that. And then we don't even punish them anyway. So I think for us, the greatest thing that we need to do is to make sure that there is punishment over this. I'll just speak very briefly to one of the things that Honorable Osoro has mentioned and leave it at that. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that Honorable Osoro is talking about is whether we can consider the possibility of vicarious liability, especially when we have the agencies. On my part, I think sometimes that also creates a bit of escapism. I think what we need to do is to be very sure that we find the person that we consider responsible. And for me, in that case, it should actually be the mother company, not the agents. And I would also want to say that one of the things that he has raised, which has been very frustrating, and you saw the members clapping as he was, or cheering as he was talking, is the experience that members face when they go to hospital. That sometimes you have to sit for 1 hour, you are waiting for authorization. Mr. Speaker, that is not even a legislative issue. That is an administrative issue. And I was actually saying that sometimes as members of parliament, we need to lead by example. If we can be frustrated and we are the leaders, how do we expect Kenyans then to be treated? If you are also complaining like Kenyans, how do we expect then Kenyans to be treated? For me, this is an administrative issue. And if you have an insurance agency that is not meeting our standards, this is a competitive area. Get another one. We have had insurance agencies that are excellent in the past. There are some benefits that were even removed in the past. You know, when I came in here in Parliament, if you are sick, you could go out of the country. Now I'm told, I don't know, ex gratia, blah, 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 a lot of Latin and English mixed. That does not help us a lot. So I think PSC should also look into things like that, so that if you have an agency that is not serving the interests of parliamentarians, then we need to deal with it. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to say there's a very good Azimio spirit. You can see today I'm wearing Azimio, and my two sisters sitting over there are very thoroughly Azimio. So there's a very nice Azimio spirit in the House. With those few remarks, I beg to support.
MP from Bere North, followed by the MP for Sotik. Where is the Honorable Sigei? Francis? Okay, followed by Muhia, in the absence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I support this amendment forwarded by the leader majority. Mr. Speaker, these amendments speak to very important concerns of many Kenyans. Because for those who have been in school of business, Mr. Speaker, we realize that they will really tell you insurance can be termed in layman's language as legalized stealing. And many insurance companies have capitalized on the loopholes within the law to ensure they can take many Kenyans who have bought policies, different types of policies, to insure different risks. They can be taken round and round, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, until many people have never benefited to what the policies says. And you realize that they capitalize even on a very small discrepancies, even a comma, even a full stop. They tend to take advantage to ensure they don't pay the claims which come to most of these insurance companies. This amendment, Mr. Speaker, will ensure that the insurance companies take responsibilities in case insurance company, it will ensure the directors take responsibilities in case the insurance company fails or if the insurance company collapses. And we have seen a number of insurance companies in Kenya which have collapsed in the past. An example of Blue Shield Insurance, Stallion Insurance, and many others, Mr. Speaker. And when they collapse with many, many claims, many policies which have not been paid. And therefore, it is very, money which has been earned in a very difficult way from different economic activities for Kenyans to be able to pay or invest in some of these companies. These amendments, Mr. Speaker, will ensure that there is sanity and professionalism within the sector. Because even the way the management of the insurance sector is done, as it is now, we need to ensure there are more stringent more stringent penalties in case of any offense committed. And this is exactly what this amendment is trying to achieve. We need more stringent penalties in case the management of these insurance companies is not done in the most appropriate way and the most prudent way. The fiduciary measures, just as we have seen in the banking sector, which is regulated by the central bank of this country, also we need to see such strict regulations within the insurance industry. Because the difference between insurance industry and banking sector, you realize the difference is minimal, Mr. Speaker, and there is many loopholes for the management of insurance companies to take advantage of. Therefore, this amendment, Mr. Speaker, will increase the public trust in this sector, create confidence, and once the confidence of the public is created, then it means that many Kenyans can be able to invest, can be able to buy policies which can take care of themselves. You realize, Mr. Speaker, that even the agricultural sector, which is key to the economic development of our nation, we need the insurance to insure whether it is livestock industry, whether it is sugarcane industry, or different agricultural sectors, so that the losses which many farmers have been accruing every season, they may not be able to accrue such kind of losses within the agricultural sector. And for that to happen, Mr. Speaker, we need confidence. We need to ensure the public regains confidence and trust as far as this sector is concerned. By so doing, many farmers or many Kenyans who are within agricultural sector, they will be able to ensure the agricultural activities and minimize the losses which may occur in their activities. With these remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support this amendment and urge this House to fully support, and also to probably, when it comes to the committee of the full House, we see how we can make this amendment more stringent, the penalties can be more firm, and also to ensure we increase public trust, we increase public confidence levels for good investment in this sector, and so that we can fight all the rogue insurance companies or managers within this sector, because there are quite a number of them. And many Kenyans have been taken round and round. And I'm sure even in this House, it's not one or two, majority of us must have been taken round and round by insurance companies, me being one of them in the year 2013 when I was involved in a road accident. Mr. Speaker, I support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And on the onset, I support the debate on the House today. Honorable Speaker, all things remaining constant, even when there is statutory insurance requirement, I think the level of confidence on insurance matters is very, very, very low. It means this institution has to build and rebuild itself to gain confidence to the common mwananchi or any other person. Even when we speak ourselves as bunge, several members have spoken before me and indicated how even ourselves we get frustrated when we know that we have been paid for and we have the cover and we have the medical card. You go to the hospital, an email has to be written, an email has to be approved, And Honorable Speaker, sometimes you have even taken your kids who are not feeling well. I want to give a general experience that I have experienced recently for the last 3 visits in the hospital here in Nairobi. Anytime I present my medical card, the card is read, and then I'm informed that I have 0 money. And surprisingly, even the very first visit in the hospital since July, because the calendar year for government starts on 1st of July, I had never gone to the hospital, and the first appearance in the hospital, I was informed I have 0 money. And therefore, I have to call the medical team at Parliament. Then they indicate that we should look at some money they call ex gratia. Honorable Speaker, if there is any commissioner in this House, I would love them to go and discuss with our insurance team who cover the Parliament, because I don't understand what ex gratia means. I believe ex gratia is an amount settled or paid out of favor, not on any legal obligation. But every time I go to the hospital, I'm told your card is exhausted, while indeed I have not gone to the hospital. And when I call Mnet, they say, let them look at ex gratia quorum. So I wonder, why are we spending that ex gratia? Why is my cover not automatically being able to serve me at the counter? That is just an example to show the country that even at our level, we cannot enjoy the insurance benefit in spite of the Government or Parliamentary Service Commission having committed so much money. While that is administrative or otherwise, but we are not getting the services that we expect. And so are the Kenyans, so are many Kenyans. Kenyans really get frustrated, as many speakers have spoken ahead of me, and I think we cannot even labor to discuss how much Kenyans experience this kind of frustration. We have seen even matatus, when they get accident, people can even get owed as they try to follow their claims. Year in, year out, finally they get frustrated and they never get compensated. So if there is a way that we can make a policy and make it implementable, that the insurance industry come to today's expected service delivery to mwananchi, this will be the best amendment or the best legislation. With that, Honorable Speaker, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable MP for Nyanges, followed by the MP Zamzam and Kaguchia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I wish to start by saying that I support this bill. This is a bill, this is a very important bill that is supposed to bring about accountability in the insurance sector. Honorable Speaker, I am sure you've encountered these insurance salespeople. And you will agree with me that they have a very nice language, very sweet language, as they try to have you buy their insurance premiums. What they promise is that they will insure your vehicle, is that they will take care of your health insurance needs, is that they will insure your property. But, Honorable Speaker, so many Kenyans have suffered in the hands of these insurance brokers and companies. Sometimes you have your property insured, but the moment you lay claim, especially maybe after theft, after fire, or even after accident, then another story begins, another journey begins, and I am sure this has not happened to me alone, but to several other Kenyans. So, Mr. Speaker, I am in support of every effort to ensure that the insurance sector is well regulated and that the insurance companies are more accountable to Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, it is very devastating when Kenyans have got to pay monthly premiums to insurance companies, but the moment they have accidents, they cannot access the funds that they are supposed to be paid by these insurance companies. Mr. Speaker, sometimes actually these insurance companies have to be taken to court. And even after being taken to court, you will find that in most instances, they'll drag their feet and they'll eventually not even pay as per the court orders. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this because this again will ensure that more Kenyans who are not insured, who do not fall into the insurance bracket, get the confidence and the trust so as to secure their investments either in education, in health, or even their other properties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Woman Rep for Mombasa, Zamzam Chimba.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kuunga mswada huu ulioletwa na kiongozi wa wengi ndani ya bunge hili kuhusu masuala ya insurance. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni dhahiri hata kutoka vile wabunge wamezungumza kuwa insurance companies zimekuwa zikiwanyanyasa wa Kenya kwa miaka mingi sana, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, ukienda katika ofisi zao watakukaribisha na lugha tamu, na hawawezi kuzungumza wakakupatia sheria na masharti kwa lugha ambayo waweza kuelewa vizuri. Kama vile Mkenya yule bodaboda, yule mtu wa matatu, yeye anajua tu ni sheria kuwa kama sina insurance basi nitashikwa barabarani. Lakini vile itakavomfaidi yeye haelezewi kwa kina. Na ndio unaona wengi hata wakipata accident, Mheshimiwa Spika, wakikimbia kwenye makampuni ya insurance, unapata wanakuwa kuna vuta ni kuvute, mara gari lilikuwa wapi, uligongwa na nyuma, uligongwa na mbele, ulikuwa mlevi, sijui wanaleta masharti mengi ambayo haya masharti hawaelezei mwanzo wakianza kuchukua insurance. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna Wakenya wengi ambao hawaelewi sheria na masharti, na wengi unapata, samahani kama kuna maloya hapa, unaosikia insurance inamwambia nenda ukatafute lawyer. Anatafuta lawyer kumsaidia kwa sababu yeye haelewi na amekuwa akilipa